There you go. Well, you know, nowadays, though, people don't just hang out and do shit like this. They don't anymore. It's just kind of like almost like a lost art. Now people spend all of their time, like kids at the age of these people and younger, kids like the ones we saw in the last video. They hang out, spending their time
with college degrees.
Holy shit. Spending, listening and watching people like these people. Destiny. So we're going to get into Candace Owens confronts Destiny IRL. Now, Steven had to post this himself because obviously this is big. This is a big thing for him. This is another big get for old Steve. I honestly kind of don't understand what these people are doing. They're not as savvy as Wikipedia Steve. They don't. I don't know if they realize this or not, because you see this a lot. Like they don't know who that they're talking to, and they don't understand what they're walking into, and they don't understand that he's there to clown on them subtly and use them as a cudgel, and also test out his shitty arguments for kind of more high-profile debates he has. Like, he went through this whole thing where he was trying to say that January 6th is an insurrection, and he believes it. Full on believes that it's an insurrection, that it was coordinated, that the president was party to it, that he was involved in it, all this kind of stuff. He had a parade of lawyers. Everybody from left, center, right, libertarian. He had a bunch of lawyers for like a week come and tell him, no, you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong, and you don't understand the mechanics of this, you don't understand the law. And he just, it didn't matter. He was just like, well, it just doesn't feel that way. So I just don't agree with it. Treming says, I do the canned margarita sometimes. They sneak up on you. All those kinds of things sneak up on you because they're much higher in alcohol content than you think that they would, because you don't like kind of, it's like you don't realize how much you're drinking. I mean, shit, dude, if I got like White Claws, I would have to slam a 12 pack for it to even matter at this point in my life. Or maybe not. You know, I don't really drink very much anymore, so maybe my tolerance is down. Maybe I could get white girl wasted on the cheap. Maybe I could do a 6-pack now. Get white girl wasted. Be great. All right, let's check this out. Let's see what they get into. Now, he does this thing where he shows you previews of what you're about to watch to really keep you hooked in. So I assume most of these are going to make him look good. I don't even know if he really looked necessarily bad per se. It's just the dynamics here are very interesting. And her autistic, just fucking barrel straightforward ahead, calls him out on some fucking shit. It's very entertaining. So I've been excited to watch this.
Again, you can't read well?
Because I watched some of it. I haven't watched the whole thing. But there's nothing that brings me greater joy in life than watching people like Wikipedia Steve get their shit kicked in.
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes.
And it doesn't happen very often because he doesn't allow himself to be in situations where it would happen very often. He talks to like mouth-breathing morons most of the time.
That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see like?
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy
to.
Not true. What do you mean it's not true? And I'm going to tell you.
Okay, let me explain. Hold on. I'm sorry, because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But when you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages compared to people that even have some college education, all of
Destiny is just talking about things that he thinks is true. I don't think that he ever actually did like a serious deep dive or anything like this on this topic. And he does this a lot. He says, well, then that would probably mean this. And then he goes forward with the argument as if it is a fact. This is something he does pretty regularly, actually. Maybe and probably do a ton of heavy lifting whenever he talks to somebody.
Right, it's me going to school.
All of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners.
Every single...
So I've seen this. I'm just gonna let it roll. I've seen this, and this little clip is very it misrepresents that conversation.
Person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean? You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. What are you doing here? What's going on?
I just did PBD, Patrick Bet David. Mm-hmm. They know you over there, right? Are you laughing?
Maybe. I know I'm good. Do you
Why does he have it like vignetted?
know Adam over there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just asked Adam. He was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know Adam. Me and Adam are cool. I'm not as much sure about the PVD guy. I'm pretty. I'm a pretty far left guy, and I disagree with a lot of stuff they say in a pretty crazy way. So.
They got both on that show. That's why it's so great. I just did something with Chris Cuomo. He couldn't be further left. That's what I just did.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, but then we bring on left guys, it's usually to roast the fuck out of them. So.
No, that's not what happened at all.
Oh, that might not have happened this time. That's what I've seen. When I had Anthony Weiner on, it was that. When I've seen other left-leaning guys go on, it's usually like...
Yeah, if you guys want to see like a great shit show podcast, go watch the Anthony Weiner versus the Valuetainment Patrick Bet-David thing. It was such... He fucking tramples the entire Valuetainment dais. And Anthony Weiner is a human piece of shit, but he kills them. Because they're not prepared and they think they're going to get easy dunks, and it's so cringe it might be a little hard to watch, honestly. But it's some great cringe entertainment.
Like rake him over.
Well, one of them is on the left, right?
Which guy?
So I really thought that Adam just said I've never voted for a Republican, but I might vote Republican.
I think Adam is fair.
Yeah.
I think Adam is fair generally from what I've seen, but he's like center at best. And I'm not even like a...
And the reason why Adam is fair is because Adam is a degenerate coomer. Just like Destiny.
Communist type guy. But I mean, like, Adam is like pretty center. Like, he's like a... I just don't think he's behind all the Trump stuff.
But why laugh if I'm like, I just went Patrick Bet-David? It's like, haha, like, what's that?
Oh, sorry. In my world, there's a lot. There's always like a lot of drama on people hitting each other behind. So I just laugh because it's funny. Because I'm not sure if those guys hate me or not. I've been on their show once. They seem like cool people, but the Patrick guy has said kind of weird things about me or my fan base before. So it's kind of like a funny. It's just a funny thing. There wasn't anything deeper to that, I promise.
Oh, okay. No, I was just curious. I was like, because you would go on a platform with someone on the right, presumably.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because you said, because I'm on the left when I asked you. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, why? We need more conversations. It doesn't need to be, I'm on the left, I'm on the right. It's like, what do you actually think? You know? What do you actually believe?
Sure. I agree, for sure. Yeah. What are you talking about mainly over there?
It's so weird. So he has this person come here, Candace Owens, and they have like no idea what they're going to do or talk about. It's just like a general conversation like, hey, you're in town, you want to come on my live stream? Because this is all just about like mutual clout chasing. Hagbert says, so Sean, I used to hang out with Anthony Weiner before he got into pro politics. Did you really? Oh, dude, I'd like to hear about this.
For the past week or two, what's the stuff that's captured your attention, your eyes the most?
Man, I talk about everything on my show. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest topic for me has been the Diddy lawsuit. It's the craziest thing that's come out, I think, since Jeffrey Epstein. And it's definitely significant because a lot of the work that I do is talking about or I guess really asking the question is what's happened to black culture? Because this is not the black culture that I grew up with. And the Diddy lawsuit potentially answers a lot of those questions. So
I feel like Candace Owens is way too young to say things like this is not the black culture that I grew up in, etc. Like it is exactly the black culture you grew up in terms of pop culture. I mean, a lot of the stuff with P. Diddy, all that stuff starts in like the mid 90s in terms of like gangster rap and the kind of shifting in the entertainment industry and what the focus was and what they were promoting and pushing through hip hop music in the 90s throughout the 2000s. Like, I understand that it's a little bit more like bubblegum. It's a little softer. At least the mainstream stuff was back in the day, but it was kind of about the same types of things. I will agree, though, we have fallen into some serious. I mean, I feel like a prude. I'm like, am I really becoming like an old man? Like this shit is like so kind of gross. It's all just wanton criminality about just degenerate sexuality, just constantly only caring about the most shallow things possible, talking about the most shallow things possible, talking about their wet ass pussies, guys hanging upside down, sucking Satan's dick. It's good stuff. Hagbert says he was a friend of a friend. No indication of creepiness. Oh, okay. Trelmick says now even rap lacks masculinity. Yeah, they're slowly draining that out of rap. The gay mafia stuff is true. the Diddy thing, if it I'll have to find it something and do it. We'll have to go over it one night. There's a lot of crazy shit going on with this P. Diddy thing, or alleged crazy shit. But it's basically just kind of confirms that the gay hip hop mafia is very real. And P. Diddy is at the top. No pun intended. Trembling says it's gay weird shit now. It really is.
Do you say where you grew up?
I was born in White Plains, New York, and I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay. What can you catch us up on the P. Diddy lawsuit? I haven't been in this area as much.
Are you kidding?
My mind has been, I've done Israel-Palestine for the last 4 years, or 4 months, and then like a whole bunch of red pill stuff before that, so my mind is not.
So, in case you guys have not seen it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it, and if you're there, definitely subscribe. But, so essentially, at the end of last year, Diddy was dating that girl Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexually deviant things, that I would say.
Okay.
And forced her to do a lot of things against her will, or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but he pays her off. So it ends. And then
I think that chick got like $20 million, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 10. It was a substantial amount of money. Trevling says P. Diddy had Jamie Foxx under sissy hypno in his coma. Listen, this is true. It's confirmed. Didn't what's her name? Gossip Girl XOXOXO. Oh, dude, we should check on. I'm gonna check in with her. I'm gonna look something up. Hold on.
Pat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have, hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims. And in the lawsuit, he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit. It can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests, allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits Lucian Grain.
On top of Diddy sits many young twinks, like Justin Bieber,
who is the CEO of Universal Music Group. And this was, for me, one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and just shot them in like the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens.
I'm so glad this goes off the rails quickly, because this is boring. But I do have a little bit of an update with Gossip Girl XOXO. I had no idea about this. This is Prophet's beat, so I was not following it. But apparently, this person was exposed, and that there's a man behind Gossip Girl XOXO. You heard it here first.
And that guy's name is like Fahim something, and he will come clean it up. The LAPD will write a fake police report, and he shows like how the news then reported that the shooting happened outside, and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call, the security guy, was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. So it's now reopened, all the Michael Jackson stuff.
And actually, she's getting pilloried by... Was it Shmuley? Rabbi Shmuley is going after her, trying to get Ben Shapiro to fire her. Because I think she's been talking about him, because he's all involved in like the hip hop world. Kind of behind the scenes producer, money guy. He was involved with Michael Jackson. I think she even made allusions that maybe she was involved in his death.
Super interesting. A lot of stuff that I would say, a lot of proof presented in these documents. Like I said, there's a lot of photos included. And if what he is spelling out is correct, then it's basically a homosexual ring that works by blackmails. They host these, what he calls freak-offs, and they drug people, and they get them to sleep with a minor or do something, that you wouldn't want publicized. And then they own you, right? Because it's like, well, we have you on camera doing this, and so you're going to say or do whatever I want. So very much like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Gotcha. Are these indictments, or are these just like affidavits or statements to the media? Is any of this stuff like gone to court yet?
It's the lawsuit that he filed. So we're reading the lawsuit documents directly.
This is a civil lawsuit, I'm guessing?
So none of what she's talking about, and I think he's right to ask these questions. It's only fair. Like, is any of this actually been brought before a court? Has any of this stuff been proven? The answer is no. Everything is allegations at this moment. This guy's brought this lawsuit, and it is stacked. It doesn't necessarily mean any of it's true, but apparently he has videos, pictures, etc., some of which he actually even put in his lawsuit. Trelving says, a zesty fresh man is behind Gossip Girl XOXO? Zestfully fresh, Trelving says. Apparently so. Apparently so.
Yes, he's suing Universal Music Group. He's suing Lucy and Grange, personally. He alleges that Lucy and Grange and Diddy are in a relationship by saying that, like, they disappear into Diddy's room and for hours, and like, this is the stuff that I've seen. I was groomed for sex. Like, essentially, he wasn't a gay man, but then Diddy found him when he was young. These are the allegations he's making. Again, a lot of photos, like, of other rappers. He's named like Cuba Gooding Jr., who's an actor.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And like, when you think about something, so you mentioned Cuba Gooding Jr., who went like fucking crazy like 10 years ago. Remember when he went fucking crazy? There's actually a really funny comedy show. It only lasted one season. It was called Big Time in Hollywood, Florida. And Cuba Gooding Jr. did like basically a spoof of himself. He like satirized himself. He played this crazy version of himself, like right after all of those things happened. It's very funny. If you guys have never seen it, Big Time in Hollywood, Florida is a really funny show.
Is there, has any of this stuff like leaked to the media in terms of like pictures or strong hard evidence, or are these mainly just in the charging documents or the civil case documents so far?
That's also what's really interesting, is that yes, it's being covered, but not in the way that it should be covered. The fact that you don't know about it, to me, is crazy, because we've never seen someone that with hundreds.
I will say this, it does seem fucking crazy that this isn't the biggest story like in the country right now, just because that's how we are. That's how the media works. It is kind of wild that it's not a story that's out there just on the basis of the lawsuit. Like, since when does the media need like verification and proof? But for some reason, nobody's talking about this like at all, except for Candace Owens.
Of hours of footage, putting in photos like, here's a picture of the drugs that I have to carry at all times to keep Diddy high. Here's the name of the woman that gets the drugs. Here's a drug dealer. Here's a photo of me with this person. Here's the blood on the floor at night. It's like, we've never seen this much proof to make those claims. So it's definitely something to watch.
Somebody said, I just see in chat, somebody said over 100 million to the first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours. Is that true?
What's that? Over 100 million to
the first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours.
Did that happen with this?
I have no idea.
We might be talking about Cassie, because that got settled pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that Diddy's basically just at the top of a gang, and the person that's above him is Lucy and Grange, which is just wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? You made a mention that this might be an indicator to things that have happened with Black culture. What do you mean by that, I guess?
So there has been just a very obvious corrosion in Black culture. Like the music that I grew up in, I was listening to The Temptations, Lauryn Hill. Like, it was all about like family.
How old are you? 100? The Temptations. I mean, I like The Temptations too. But if I were to say like, well, I grew up listening to like if I said I grew up listening to The Doors, music was different back when I was a kid. Wouldn't be very accurate.
Love, it was real talent, and then something just really shifted, and it all became about derogatory, debased gangster rap. And it's the change that I've noted in a lot of my commentary. And I think other people have. Like, I asked the question. There's a really, in my view, disgusting artist, just in terms of the stuff that she publishes and the photos that she publishes, named Sexy Red, who they're now making a thing, right? Who makes the decision to sign a Sexy Red? You're telling me you have all the money and all the talent at your fingertips, and you sign a woman who, at her baby shower, 9 months pregnant, however pregnant she was twerking and had her butt cheeks in, like, somebody's face was inside of her butt cheeks. That to me is very intentional, because you're not signing her based on talent. You're not signing her based on following. You're signing her because it's filth. and you're perpetuating this filth into my community. So it's just something that I've noticed, something that I talk about often, that we're intentionally being sold crack.
I mean, like it's got to be, it has to have some sort of social effect by blasting this shit out on the reg constantly. I mean, this is what fills the ears and the minds of just human beings as they go out throughout their daily lives. Like, it's not like a separate thing. Like, well, yeah, I know I watch some pretty provocative stuff, but there's a time and a place for it. It's like, no, it's just everywhere all the time, completely normalized. You can go to a high school dance and listen to something like WAP. You know what I mean? I keep using that because it's like, really, I do not keep up with this stuff intentionally because I don't like it. I don't like most modern music. I just kind of assume that's because I'm an old fuddy-duddy. Every once in a great while, I'll find like a newer band that I like, but I'm pretty kind of set in my ways. I've kind of found my music already. I don't go out looking for more. You only got so much room in this brain. Trelmick says, it would be funny to discover Candace Owens has been the queen of the damned all along. She does, she has like a passing resemblance to Aaliyah. Oh, we got Lord Cigna. He said, good evening and welcome to the shitstorm.
It feels like,
So, I'm trying to think of which direction I want to go.
Any direction you want. I'm an open book.
Yeah, you're fine. There are like two kind of different ways of viewing this. And I feel like you fall more to one side, and I'll go my side, and then we can kind of see if we can iron out or figure where we are at, I guess, in the middle here.
See, Destiny has now become the great bridge builder. He's always reaching across the aisle now. And I think what he does it because it's like he knows he does it. He's doing it intentionally and not for altruistic reasons. Let's say it's not because he's really interested in talking to these people. It's because he's going to build his profile more, and he's hopefully going to get to dunk on them.
I feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate black culture or degenerate black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever, right?
Yeah. But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like the general.
Generalizing,
yeah. It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances, and you can see.
So he comes in here with the typical white liberal perspective. It's like these people are storytellers, and they're just talking about their lives and their circumstances, dude. Like, why can't you appreciate that? They're just talking about what they're striving for, what they're hoping to get out of life. Like, yeah, well, if their circumstances are dire, if they're poor, and they're only, the only type of introspection they do is like, well, let's just be criminal, degenerate pieces of shit. That's probably not a good thing. Let's just say, what is there to argue about? What is there to argue about the mainstreaming of this stuff? Not very much.
Especially as America and the black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get
turning to crime as if there is nothing else you could possibly do. It's almost like there are consequences to decisions people make.
Created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music. I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we got two really big contributions to the world of music from America.
I don't know if you can tell by the saxophone that I went to music school. I own a saxophone, ma'am. Were you also in the military? You own a gun. Trelmick says, damn, I forgot about Vampire in Brooklyn. Speaking of Blackulous, what a weird choice of a movie for Eddie Murphy to make. Yeah, Vampire in Brooklyn is an odd movie, but I get why. Because it was like he got to team up with Wes Craven. He was the biggest star in the world. Wes Craven was a very successful director at the time. One of those masters of horror that you always hear about. And yeah, actually the weirdest part about that movie is like the Eddie Murphy stuff in it. Sometimes it does not like kind of jive with the tone of the rest of the movie. It's an interesting kind of conversation piece. Maybe we'll talk about it on Goes to the Movies Live someday.
America, one was jazz, that came basically from the black community, and then the second was like rap and hip hop. These forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular, and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because, well, for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side...
that's what the worldwide culture wants to see right now. Yeah, but why do they want to see that? What are the circumstances that have developed over time to make people primed for that kind of product? You fucking completely missed the point. Again, that's another example of Destiny just having a conversation that nobody's actually having. Lord Sigma says he's lying. He really plays the skinny.
It feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And so I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community, and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. And
this is a great call out by Candace, because he's saying that, like, well, this is just who black people are. His Destiny's answer to Candace Owens being bothered that hip hop is full of degenerate, materialistic, shallow nonsense. And he's just like, well, that's just, the circumstances, that's just who she is. And that's what the market wants right now. So that's just why they do it. I mean, what's the problem? Like, what questions do you even have about this?
Completely not true. Okay, WAP does not reflect the circumstances that black people are living in. Singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I...
It doesn't make you empowered to have a wet ass pussy, to be able to lord your pussy about? That doesn't make you feel empowered, Candace? What a square.
Grew up in, and unfortunately that's actually what people are telling black Americans. Like, actually it's working the other way. You're putting something, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul, and you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammys stage, which is, again, a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best, most talented people were on the Grammy stage. It was something you could watch with your family. And you still had poor people. You still had, you still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay, we didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen. So what you're doing is you're setting the stage.
You're setting the bar very fucking low.
For younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. What you're actually doing is you're setting the idols that people are going to look up to, and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a question? In that like evolution of things, so if we look at like WAP in particular, hasn't it...
It's weird. It's so weird. He doesn't really look at her very much. He's always just staring at his chat. He must have like, I wonder if he has like, one of those screens that's like sideways off to the side with just the chat just scrolling. The goatee looks so stupid. Oh my God, why did he have to shave?
Generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries. So it might have been Elvis grabbing his crotch and dancing. It might have been Michael Jackson's dancing is incredibly suggestive, if you've seen that. It might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next evolution in a long chain of...
pushing boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics to WAP and read them right now?
Well, why would I need to do that?
Oh, it's just Woodstock. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably have never even read the lyrics to WAP.
I think I did, because I think Ben Shapiro had a huge thing about it.
He couldn't have said, you may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized. Like the sanitized one, which is still bad, that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP before you make commentary that it's a reflection of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a...
Oh, it's so magical. We live in a time like families can come together and watch award shows, watch the Grammys, watch the sanitized version of WAP, bring the kids around. Johnny, Sally, come here. Yeah, now you have to say the sanitized lyrics, though. You can't say the real lyrics, okay? Wet-ass P-word is fine. That's fine.
Boundary. It's not that.
How do you explain the fact that WAP was a #1 worldwide hit then?
Because what I said to you is that they are artificial.
Is he with him, is this intentionally misunderstanding what she's saying? And she's not, I have to say, she's not making a great argument either. It's just you have to look back at how culture has evolved, how that market has evolved, and why it's evolved that way. She's trying to suggest that it is done intentionally, with intent. Lord Sigma says, Woodstock with a giant vagina. Listen, when you really think about it, Woodstock happened inside of a giant vagina. It was hot. It was sticky. There was some mud in there.
Officially creating artists at this point. There's no question. And by the way, the Diddy docs, which I found to be a very compelling point, was that Diddy said to the guy, allegedly, who was the producer, that if he was willing to engage in homosexual behavior with him, that he would get him Producer of the Year Grammy.
Well, I mean, that could just be a work. That could be just Diddy trying to get his dick sucked. I don't know if that means he actually could achieve this goal. So we may be connecting dots that actually can't be connected, but point taken, Miss Candace.
Okay, so what does that tell you? It means that the entire system is artificial. And by the way, this is something that Kanye said 10 years ago, or however long ago it was, when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift and said, this is all fake. This is not even based on merit anymore. And that is my point. The industry is not based on merit. It's not based on capitalism. It is based on selling ideas. So it is, who do we want to artificially make the person that every Black girl will look up to, or who they will aspire to? And
so I can definitely understand that maybe award shows can be rigged, or people can think different things about, who's being awarded based on merits for the Grammys or something like that. But WAP was genuinely, do you think it wasn't genuinely a popular song, or do you think that music execs have the ability to make...
No, it is a popular song. What does he not understand? What does he not understand about this? It's...
manufacture that desire publicly.
The latter. So if you start playing something tons of times...
Well, yeah, they push it on to top 40 lists that then get played on the radio. They artificially create it that way, but the song does legitimately get those plays and those listens, and then people organically do it themselves because you're inundated with it all the time, every day, all day. Anytime you turn the radio on, anytime you check your Spotify, what's hot list? You go on to Amazon Music, what's the top 40 hits?
Times on the airways, and the latter. You can definitely make something popular. There are songs that I don't even like, that I've heard so much that I know every single lyric to, and I'm I don't even know how I know every single lyric to this song, but it's received this many plays. You put it everywhere. You award the person. You invite them to bizarre circumstance. There's absolutely no reason that Cardi B is invited to sit down and ask questions to Joe Biden.
So
in no scenario, unless you are really making an effort to legitimize this person and to make this person aspirational. Again, this is not an insult to Cardi. I actually think that personality-wise, she's got a ton of talent, and she's interesting, and I've said great things about her on Love and Hip Hop, and there are elements of her that make her a star. But what I am saying is that a lot of that is manufactured. And
well, her music is manufactured. Do you think Cardi B is writing these songs? I doubt it. Lord Sigma says, WAP is also just not a very good song, even in hip-hop standards. It's just all about the shock. She's talking about her coochie. How powerful.
I just don't see how anybody, when looking
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So like, I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can
we... Again, like now we're having a conversation that's not the conversation that was started. And Candace Owens cannot rise to the occasion for some reason. Like, it's okay for her to admit, I don't know why she won't just admit, yeah, it's a popular song. People are listening to it. People are liking it, etc. The question is, why?
We explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry. And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Like, it feels like that to try to explain this through through people that are exercising control on these platforms would require more control than anybody has ever been able to exercise on any platform ever. And they're doing it like on a multi-country, multi-stage level.
It's just called, it's very easy actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda. Hollywood is propaganda. You should, for those of you that are watching this live, go listen to the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Cat Williams, where he talked about all of this. And he said, I know you think that you're being entertained. And this is somebody that...
I got to say, I am very tickled by the Cat Williams thing. He was on Shannon Sharp's show first and then ended up getting on Joe Rogan by complaining about it. Cat Williams has been giving that same interview, for about 10 years on various morning shows. He's a shit stirrer. He's a clout chaser. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing or whatever, but it kind of makes me laugh that right now, we're at the moment where we just kind of take anything anybody says seriously. And he could have insights. I have no idea. But Cat Williams is not the most stable person. I don't know if he's like if he's very credible in those kinds of things, because he feels and he seems very bitter and very jaded about the status of his career versus some of his friends and some of the people that he helped bring up. Tiffany Haddish, he went really hard at Tiffany Haddish a few years ago, saying very similar things that he's saying now, honestly.
That comes from inside of the industry. And he starts talking about the Diddy stuff, the idea that in order to climb higher, you kind of have to engage in nefarious behavior, and how he was collecting all of this information and he was speaking out about what was happening inside of the industry. And he said it is twofold. You might be being entertained, but they are making decisions about what will entertain you. And a great circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism. And he asked hold on.
Okay.
He asked a question which should be answered. He said to Joe Rogan, and he laughed about it. He was like, a guy wears a dress on the red carpet, okay? And then the media tells you how great he wore the dress. And he's like, he said, tell me one situation where he didn't wear the dress wonderfully, when he didn't wear the dress in a way that was amazing. It's because they have all agreed that this is the narrative. And then he talked about the fact that the record execs also own the publications that are saying that something is amazing or something is not amazing. And that is just plain old-fashioned propaganda. So you don't necessarily need to detach what we're talking about.
Because it's just another example of engineering, social engineering. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as the music. It's the same thing. It's the same methods that they use to make something like WAP a very successful, popular song. You are seeding it into the culture. You are getting people to agree to it without realizing that they're agreeing to it, because you're kind of normalizing it and you're celebrating it. It seems cool and provocative and different, and they kind of mix it up with kind of like what they were talking about before, like pushing boundaries, kind of old school rock and roll provocation. They're kind of trying to suggest that it's a similar thing.
From your concept of what governments are interested in. It's always propaganda.
So I understand Cat Williams has said this. I also understand that Cat Williams was at one point in his life addicted to crack, and I think he's famous for losing a fight to a high school kid. I think this like benched his career for a while.
Okay, you can insult him, but it doesn't.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that I don't know.
2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that to like lean into his testimony, who also we would both acknowledge has a lot to gain by giving like incredulous testimony like this, like saying like, oh my God, these crazy things are happening, right? I don't know if I would.
I would say this. Everything Destiny is saying about Cat Williams is 100% fair, and you shouldn't use it as like the backbone of your argument. You shouldn't. And also, you don't have to. Like, you could just describe the circumstances by which these things happen without even talking about Cat Williams, honestly.
just say, well, right, he does. The fact that you're talking about him and you're citing him and you know it, right? If anybody else was saying a similar thing, we'd say, well, okay, they're saying this because they have something to gain for it, right? He knows that this is going to be a hot take, and he knows that it's going to go viral if he says it, and he knows he's going to get a lot of eyes on him for it. So I think it's good to call that.
Honestly, I don't know if Cat Williams was that calculated, because like I said, he's said these things in the past.
Into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe with it so much? Why are we replacing?
Thank you. Destiny is going to be okay with whatever the reason is, though. These are individual choices. This is just what people want. But he's correct. That is the real question. Why are tastes like this? Why have they developed this way?
Traditional better forms of media, or more thought-provoking, I don't know what you would call it, forms of media, with this type of stuff. Instead of having conversations about the culture and the society, it's all fixated on some weird top-down plot to like control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian, because I don't understand the point that you're making here. Like, of course.
Wait, hold on, wait. Let me restate that. I'm sorry. The point I'm making is very clear. If I was going to, I've got a almost 13-year-old son in a few days. Okay, if I was to see that he's consuming media, my go-to would be like, "Hey, Nathan, why are you watching this? This is crazy. We need to look at something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What are you looking at online? Like, we need to change your media consumption habits because this isn't working." I would never think like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him, and there's no way that we can change this, because I feel like on your side of the story.
In fairness to him, this is correct. This is in the perfect world parent scenario, is that you actually know what your kids are doing and what they're watching, and are able to find a way to circumvent that stuff, find other things to be interested in, find other things to watch. Most people, unfortunately, do not have that kind of relationship with their kids. One of those people being Destiny. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Wandanda. Is she still with Gentle Ben Shapiro? I believe so. I think she's still on the Daily Wire. Honestly, don't really know. I think she is, though. I'm almost positive she is.
Right. These people are basically like, we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do.
No, it's not hopeless, but if you want to be able to do something about something, you need to be able to acknowledge the something, right?
What you can't
make it like it's a conspiracy. It's like, no, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a single trans kid. Now you've got like more than 50% of kids that think that they're other. That is obviously propaganda. Clearly, it's just not possible that you didn't exist. Maybe there was one person, and then all of a sudden everyone is.
Like she's so inarticulate. It's just like, yeah, the social conditioning, the social contagion that goes on in schools. People, this is being pushed in the culture in a pretty heavy way, a pretty intense way that is completely imbalanced with the actual issue. It's completely fucking out of whack. And kids are the most vulnerable and the most susceptible to that shit, of course. Just say that.
Sure, I think it's okay to
that can only happen through propaganda, right?
Maybe,
They're suddenly being told it's an option. They're kids, right? You want to experiment and you want to be different. You're looking for a way to stand out, and so you hold on. And in the classrooms, you've got teachers that are reinforcing this narrative.
Mm-hmm. And you know, people of my generation, we lived through this with basically with gay shit, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Except back then when kids would like experiment or catch the social contagious bug. I mean, every girl I knew in high school was bisexual, apparently. You weren't doing irreparable damage to yourself. You weren't taking hormones. You weren't cutting pieces of your body off without really understanding what you're doing at all. That wasn't the case. The worst thing you were going to do is have an awkward experience.
That is, yes, top down, right? It's like Hollywood in lockstep with the Department of Education that is making these options available. If it was natural, like when I graduated high school, there were gay kids. There were lesbian kids. There wasn't a ton of them. It wasn't an identity. That's another thing. The identity thing
the identity
is very new.
An interesting thing. I agree, for sure.
And so it shows you who are they emulating? Who are they copying when they do this stuff? Because it's an option. It's just being presented to you. It's obviously not natural if it didn't exist naturally. And
I agree, but culture is a very complicated thing.
Culture is not a complicated thing.
It's so complicated. I think governments pray that they have the amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody would be able to top down control that much stuff.
Like I said, there have been...
When you have entire industries that are in lockstep pushing the same things, you have like entertainment, you have tech, you have parts of the government, Like, yeah, there's a lot of forces, and he's right. Not just one of them is going to do it. No, they all work in concert with each other because they all benefit from it to one degree or another. Whether even if they're even like in connect, they're not like, nobody goes into a fucking dark room and, you know, they're not like smoking cigarettes and coming up with their big evil plans. No, that's not how it happens. And unfortunately, it happens way more organically. Wanda says, alternative lifestyle was the term.
A lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit, that suggests that the government is...
and Wandanada. That's a tough one. Also doctors. Yes, doctors are part of it. The medical industry is a huge part of this because they see dollar signs. They come out and even admit that. Boston's Children's Hospital, was it like a year and a half ago? Talking about like, these are forever patients. These are forever patients. They're going to be coming to us for the rest of their lives for treatments, for help, etc. This is a big boon for the hospital.
Is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you mean? What do you mean what's suggesting?
Like what part of the Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my God, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his home, he had his face and about, 6 different passports. Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at
who can issue you a different identity?
I don't know about different identities, but for passports, I imagine you can get that illegally, or you can just get it from countries depending on citizenship status.
Well,
but what I'm saying is that like for when we look at
so he doesn't actually want to be, he's not that curious about it. He's just like, it's not that weird that somebody has 6 different passports with different names and identities on them. That's not weird. Like, come on.
Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not totally sure.
No, that's the question. Nobody knows why him
I don't know
or
why,
his brother
but there's like a million different.
dollars.
Sure, there's lots of people where I don't know how they made their money, but to fill in the gaps of all of this with some.
No, you should always know how
conspiracy.
somebody became a billionaire. That's like a very easy thing. Like somebody shouldn't just be like, I became a billionaire, and you have no idea how. Like
I'm sure there are tons of people who
it's
are
like,
billionaires
I sold
that
the product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots on how this person became a billionaire that was able to.
You can't have somebody just appear out of the ether that, like, you know, without any credentials, like was teaching at a private Catholic school and all sorts of other things. He says he's an investor. He's an investment advisor. Nobody uses him. Nobody uses his services.
Filings aren't always going to be public. That like, oh, well, I can figure out exactly why this person became a billionaire. If they don't work in like public traded companies or something, how will you ever know? There's no way you're going to know that.
He did.
Then what's the question?
It's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
Well, you just said did he have a ton of shares in publicly traded companies?
What do you mean? Did he have a ton
like
of shares?
Like when we ask, for instance, like, so here's a question. Do you know how Jeff Bezos made his money or how Elon Musk made his money?
I know that Jeff Bezos created Amazon, and I know that Elon Musk has created a ton of things. Tesla, you got Starlink.
Okay, kind of, so not really. Bezos made his money because of the appreciation of shares of Amazon that he had a huge stake in, right? And Elon Musk.
But he also started Amazon.
Made a lot of his money. Initially, it was on PayPal and a couple of ventures, and then because he had a huge equity stake in SpaceX and Tesla, especially, that's where they made their money. Is ownership of stock of publicly traded companies. That's what I'm saying. We can look at.
So this is what he does, because they were having a conversation about culture and stuff like that. She kind of offhandedly mentions Jeffrey Epstein because she thinks that, well, everybody kind of understands that this is weird and there's strange things about it. It's just kind of a passing thing, and now this is what we're talking about. Just completely derails the conversation. Now the conversation is about how Jeffrey Epstein made his money.
Those people could say, we know how they made their money. So I don't think Epstein had massive shares in publicly traded companies, did he? So he
like, why wouldn't Destiny just be like, you know, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I don't know how he made his money. Maybe it's worth my time investigating a little bit. Maybe there is something weird. Like, would it be that crazy? Would it be that wild? A person that heavily connected with all of these relationships with rich, powerful people? Would it be weird that maybe he's not who he seems to be? I don't know.
He wouldn't have made
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just, because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
No, I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you because it seems like you're...
No, because she has to ask him because he's not substantiating anything he's saying. He's just saying like, well, because these other people did it this way, that's probably how he did it. Because that's what Destiny does. He's the king of probably, maybe, and then this would be true.
You're just like, whatever your position is, I'm going to take the opposite, and I'm going to say something really quickly and try to say, well, how do we know? And it's like, that's actually quite boring.
Sure,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, like, let's actually have a real conversation, because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right? Mm-hmm. People are, for the first time, able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense. It makes sense that there is a blackmail ring operating in DC, because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians to DC, and then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people, right? So when that Jeffrey Epstein...
Yeah, Destiny does not believe anything even remotely close to that. Now, would he say that they're all on the up and up and none of them are crooked? Of course not. But he essentially believes that most politicians are there for the right reasons.
Epstein case got exposed, and if you were following it and reading the documents...
I did follow it. I read the entire document, the 80-page report that came out from the government. They did a report on the prison where he supposedly got killed. And you're realizing how many artists have stood up and said this exact same thing was going on. Now you have somebody that has filed something with proof saying it's going on. And then you just have like a Destiny being like, oh, what if it's not going on? What if it's not? Whoa. Okay, well, sure. So here's like a super...
This is a sick Destiny impression. Oh, well, what if it's not that?
WAP is just really just that amazing. People just love talking about vaginas and like mopping the floor. It's like, you can do that thing, but it's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure. All right.
It's like,
here's just an easy test question so I can get my bearings straight. What do you think about the 91 or so indictments for Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Do you think that those are credible indictments that have credible evidence behind them?
Well, speak to me specifically about which indictment you're talking about.
So the Mar-a-Lago case.
I actually haven't followed that one, so I'm not going to push back on that one, but I can tell you the ones that I have followed and I've given an answer on. Like, obviously, we've never seen the media or the justice system go after any president in the way that
doesn't matter. You could say this.
This is his big thing right now, is because he's all in, riding with Biden for 2024. So he's been I think his next phase is to become hyper fixated on Trump's legal cases. He's already been kind of buttering these things up. He has like a friend, I think his name is Pisco, that is either just out of law school or finishing up law school, that he brings on because he's a young dude who has like zero experience, but he knows a lot about the law and he's into playing with it, like coming up with kind of novel legal theories that probably wouldn't actually pass muster. And oftentimes when he's talking to like a more seasoned lawyer, somebody that has experience, they do not. That doesn't matter to Destiny and this Pisco guy because they just think they're the smartest dudes in the world. But they get constantly told that they're wrong about their assumptions and assertions when it comes to most of these cases.
Same about P. Diddy. You've never seen the media go after a black artist.
I didn't
like
say
this.
It didn't. I didn't finish my statement. Why are you saying it doesn't matter? Why did you just say that?
I'm just. It could be that nobody's ever done something this.
But I haven't.
Incredible before.
You're so contrarian that you haven't even let me finish.
Why do you keep calling me contrarian?
You haven't even let me finish my sentence. You said that doesn't matter. It's like, what do you?
Because you gave a point that was irrelevant.
No, she gave a point saying, well, it's unprecedented. It's worth remarking on that it's unprecedented when you look at the behavior and the actions of past presidents never having to deal with anything remotely like this. That's why it's relevant. You can disagree with it. You can argue about the details of that. But it's worth mentioning.
No, but like I don't understand what you're objecting to.
And then here he is, and fucking Wikipedia Steve got me defending Candace Owens.
You said the media's never gone after somebody like this before.
You asked me a question. Mm-hmm. I started to answer it by saying the media has never gone after anyone like this before.
Okay.
And then you just said it doesn't matter. It's like, can I answer the question? Or you just gotta like contradict right away?
I'm not contradicting. I'm just fighting the crazy narratives that prevent anybody from having a real analysis of any of the things going on. But you can lay out your whole thing about.
All right, then since you know my narrative, even though you asked the question, I wasn't able to answer it.
You can answer the question.
I'm glad that you defeat the narrative. No, we're good. We're good. I'm not going to have you ask.
I will say this is the best thing she did. It's just like, no, dude, I'm not going to play your stupid fucking game. I see what you're doing. You're going to interrupt me every fucking 2 seconds with something completely irrelevant. And this is just the way this conversation is going to go. So let's just move on to the next thing. I would say good for her. More people should do that to Destiny. He's being much nicer to her than he normally is to people. And I have to assume it's because they're in person. Because if they were like doing this over Skype or Zoom or whatever, he would be a cunt. He would be a huge cunt.
I'm not going to actually have you ask a question and then cut me off and say that I'm parroting a narrative when I haven't even told you what my opinion was. That's not you being interesting. That's you being obnoxious.
I think that you're trying to avoid answering the question.
By being cut off by you?
But why would she avoid answering the question? Like, why do you think Candace Owens gives a fuck that you disagree with her about the Trump indictments? Out of all people that you could talk to about this shit, you think that Candace Owens is afraid to state her opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like, she's going to barrel ahead and tell you what she thinks is the truth, and she will be obnoxious about it in her own way. But she will tell you.
I said you could finish it if you want.
You're trying to avoid answering the question. Quite literally, I was trying to answer the question and you cut me off. So we're good on that. We can move on and talk about something other than Trump and his 95 indictments.
I think it's 91 or 92.
Okay.
Okay, well, what are we talking about that won't get you as triggered?
Okay. I just honestly, like I said to you in the beginning of this, I said I am an open book.
I'm just curious what you think about the Trump indictments. Do you think that a civil suit that's filed where there isn't a grand jury that looks over it, it's not like a DA case, not like a federal prosecutor, do you think that the Diddy stuff is like rock solid? Do you think that's really, really, really important to look at? But then when we look at indictments that have gone to grand juries that have then issued warrants or subpoenas or whatever, I was just curious if you think that the credibility on...
Because everything works perfectly and as it should, and there's no corruption involved, and none of these people are angling for other things. Kind of like his criticism of Cat Williams. He should also kind of apply some of that skepticism to some of the people involved with bringing these cases. You know, if we want to just be intellectually honest, maybe it would be worth kind of interrogating the character of some of these people, you know? Maybe just call me old-fashioned.
On that side is as heavy as the P. Diddy stuff.
I was really happy to answer that question. Would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
So I would say that you are comparing two cases that are not similar, and I'll tell you why they aren't similar. In the case of Diddy, you have somebody that has no power that is filing this and producing evidence to say that the justice, essentially the same thing that people that defend Trump are saying, the justice system is corrupt, right? That these people are responding and being motivated by things like the LAPD's involvement that night in writing a fake police report, if his allegations are true. And he had photos and said that he was the person that said call 911, and then seeing the media report on it and lie about what happened at that studio is very...
So I think what she's talking about, allegedly, I think P. Diddy shot somebody in a studio. And nothing, like no police were called, or the police were called, but nothing happened to anybody. It was kind of brushed under the rug.
Very scary. It's scary if unless he faked these blood photos, which is a plausibility, but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the people that are acknowledging that, and then also saying that those same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media, are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't, they're actually, these two things are not at conflict with one another, what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with Trump. It's actually, they complement one another in terms of what we're saying. Now, the only case, I've followed two of them, the Fannie Willis one.
Well, can I ask a question about the LAPD thing?
Yeah.
So if we're worried because in the P. Diddy case, it looks like the LAPD at the very top might have been involved with something, if that's the claim. I mean, isn't Donald Trump at the very, very, very top if he's the president? Isn't he literally like the top guy in the world?
He doesn't control the courts. And that's, I mean, hold on. The point of exactly being is that if they feel that they have a person that they cannot control, so if there is this blackmail ring that exists, and it's starting to look like there is, definitively, and I very much believe that, and I am not ashamed to say that it is pretty much the only thing that makes sense in Hollywood, is what I read in these documents, then it would be clear as to why it is that when you are existing outside of the ring, or you are somebody that cannot be controlled, you are somebody that is attacked. Now, again, we have heard many artists, and I like that we have this example in Hollywood, because we don't need...
Like Destiny, like there've already been some rulings coming down for the Trump stuff, like about like how much money he owes E. Jean Carroll, or having to pay $500 million in quote unquote damages to undamaged parties. That doesn't like give him pause at all. He's just like, well, that's just the way it is, man. That's our system, and, they must be right. Because why would they do it? Why would they do that if they weren't right? Like, just suddenly becomes very incurious about the circumstances surrounding something. Why isn't he getting into a semantic, pedantic debate about any of that stuff? That would be interesting.
To go down the path of Trump derangement, we can actually talk about people that we don't feel any way about, right? Diddy, I don't have an issue with Diddy. You don't have an issue with Diddy. We can look at this case more objectively because people, I think, do get so about Trump that you can't just look at things objectively. If that person is alleging...
Wait, do you think that's what happened here?
I mean, you did jump... I'm glad it's live and you can go back and watch it, but like I didn't get to... You asked me a question and then before I could answer my question, you did say like narrative, and I'm like, okay, that feels like the Trump derangement trap. I don't want to do it. I want to have a productive conversation about the plausibility that people that are extremely powerful are blackmailing people, and these people can't speak out because whatever they have on them on camera is scary. There's Justin Bieber. I think there's also something going on with him. His pastor said, pray for them. There are evil forces that in Hollywood, kind of at the same time as this. Cat Williams, I know he used to do crack, whatever, has spoken.
Yeah, Justin Bieber's weird pastor is like his handler. Like if we were to get into this really go down a rabbit hole and really get into like conspiracy type stuff, like that's his handler. That guy is also weird as fuck. Just saying.
Spoken out about this. There's been a lot of artists that have spoken out about this. Kanye West has spoken out about this, about the control and the network that's happening within Hollywood. So I think instead of trying to dismiss these people as crazy or crackheads or whatever it is you want to dismiss them as, when enough people say something, including Michael Jackson, who's dead, maybe there's some truth to it. Like, can we examine whether or not this might be true, especially when somebody is such an underdog like a producer and does something like this?
I think analyzing who's saying what, I think is important. But
well, he has nothing but, he has everything to gain from filing a lawsuit like that. Unless, he ends up getting murked. Fucking Diddy gonna send in the twinks. Gonna take care of this guy.
I think that when we say that somebody's an underdog, so we're going to believe them because they give a story that we might happen to like or plays into something else that we believe. I would just be critical of the underlying material. Like if the sources are a few people, like everybody stands to gain something when it comes to viral stuff. Everybody knows that.
So like he describes the thought process and the kind of reasonable skepticism anybody should have about any claim. But when it comes to the Donald Trump stuff, suddenly we're not interested in this kind of, what word did he use? Analysis.
Outrageous claims to make, and if he has evidence, I think that's interesting.
Otherwise, I would have said, I don't know, it's frivolous. Like, sure, you can always sue a rich person.
But I'm also saying that like a charge is a charge, or a claim is a claim, or a filed case is a filed case. It'll be interesting to see what ends up playing out in court, and then we actually see. I'm keen to see that. That's what I want to see. I'm not condemning the person. I'm not a person that believes that you. I would hope, and I obviously have lost faith in the court system in some ways, but I would hope that it works the way it's supposed to work and that it will take more evidence and that he has to appear in front of people and show us more evidence and show us more video evidence of what's going on. But so what I will say is that it looks credible. Okay. When you say that you've lost faith in the court system, does that mean that if a guilty verdict is returned, you'll think it was a good case, but if a non-guilty verdict is returned, are you going to? Oh, okay. Well, why would you preface with I've lost faith in the court system?
Because I have seen some circumstances in which
I don't know, Dustin, have you been paying attention for the past couple of years? The court system is full of activist lawyers, activist judges. Whether or not you like these people, like say whether or not you like Alex Jones, think about the circus that surrounded Alex Jones and him having to pay $1 billion. Think about the circus, all that kind of shit. That's just one example.
Things that should not happen do happen. And a good example of that, if you want to talk about the craziest case that I followed in a long while, it was the defamation one where the jury awarded, she was asking for, $10 million? And they awarded her for 400 or 800 million just to like bankrupt Trump. And her allegations had expired, but they created a new law in New York so that she could bring them forth about something that she says happened in 1996. What is that whack lady's name? She was so...
Wait, are you talking about when they extended the...
E. Jean Carroll.
Statute of limitations to allow people to sue people relating to...
And then she got funded to reopen this. They changed the law, And then she got funded by the person who is I don't want to call him a Democrat operative, but he obviously is very involved in the Democratic Party. The person that started LinkedIn is the one that funded her to do this lawsuit. I mean, the whole thing is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's just like making new laws.
I thought this law was changed in New York a while ago.
No,
I don't think
it wasn't.
Specifically.
It was changed, I think, because of Harvey Weinstein, even though Harvey Weinstein was never affected by it. But if memory serves me correct, around the time that all those Harvey Weinstein allegations were happening, I believe that's when they took a look at this law and tried to make it more like it is in California, if I'm not mistaken, where the statute of limitations is much like broader and longer.
No, it wasn't. Nope. It was specifically after she went on and was doing the rounds on, and those were wacky when she was like,
Actually, although it might concur with her like making the allegations, going on news programs. That could have all been happening while they were deciding whether or not to amend the law.
I don't even know when he was like, what is rape? Anderson Cooper asked her, and she was like, I think most people think rape is sexy. It's not someone jumping on you and da 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 da. You know, it'd be great for this if you could bring up clips like that.
No, she said because of the fantasies. I think most people think rape is sexy, because of the fantasies.
Because it would be awesome for people to be able to watch it, but she was so clearly clinically insane. She was so insane that even Anderson Cooper had to go to commercial, MSNBC had to go to commercial. So this is not a woman, that was making what any person who can listen to somebody interview about their rape would say are credible allegations. But there was just such hatred for Trump that they just made it happen. And in no circumstance, I can't imagine what circumstances somebody asks for like $10 million and the judge is like, no, you're going to give you $400 million. Other than we hate Trump so much and we hope to bankrupt him.
Was this a jury trial?
There were multiple parts of this lawsuit, but it was.
Because if it went to trial and if it was a jury, then
yeah, it was jury trial.
He's like, well, there was a jury, so it's fine. Yeah, no, of course, the New York City jury, dealing with Trump, of course. No, totally above board.
Yes.
Does anybody have a link to that rape clip? I'm curious if anybody has heard conversation.
It's rape. We just got to look at it. It's so nutty and so crazy. And they just kept going with it everywhere she went, left and right. People could not hold a conversation with her. She was so unstable and she couldn't even define what rape was. She was just saying, I think rape is just like, when someone thinks you're sexy. So it's like, so did Trump just think you were sexy? She had no witness. I mean, I've just never seen anybody able to get for or however many millions of dollars she got with absolutely not a shred of proof in a case that shouldn't have been brought forward according to your own statute.
So she was originally awarded $5 million in damages after finding that Trump sexually abused Carol and then defamed her. I did not find that he sexually abused her. They just were like, well, we can't prove it and maybe it happened. So we're going to say that like he's liable for it, even though we're not going to charge him with it. And then they ended up awarding her $83 million. It was supposed to be for the defamation. And all Trump says, I think the thing that they brought up in court was one of his Truth Social posts where he calls her a nut. He says she's a whack job. He's like, I don't even think I've ever met her, etc. That was what was used in the defamation trial. And they thought her damages were almost $90 million. She is a gossip blogger. But that's okay. It's cool, guys. It's all above board. Justice system, totally intact.
Of limitations.
Also, people are saying that the $400 million is that's for the business fraud case. Maybe the.
Sorry, I'm mixing numbers. What was how much was she awarded for you guys that are like, checking? She was awarded. They gave her more than she even asked for. Yeah, they literally extended the law. The whole thing was so rotten to its core. That makes you lose faith, right?
She was looking for 10 and she was awarded 83.3.
Makes you lose faith in the justice system. That's not saying that there aren't cases. There are different judges. There are different juries. With Trump, it's hard because people are passionate about him one way or the other. So it's going to be hard not to find a jury that is corrupt, especially when you are in New York. But I don't see how any person can objectively look at what happened there.
Wait, what does that mean? A corrupt jury?
Like emotion.
A biased jury, emotionally attached. What do you mean? What do you mean? He's like, what are you trying to say, that they were paid off? No, like that would be better. It would be better if they were paid off, but they're not.
Emotionally corrupted because when it comes to Trump, people tend to feel either I love him so much or I absolutely hate him and he's the end of the world. So I think it's hard to get a jury that, you know, is going to be fair in that circumstance because he's so...
Do you know, where is P. Diddy being sued at? Do you know what the venue is?
I want to say LA. I want to say LA, but definitely fact check me on that so I don't spread misinformation.
I'm only asking because I see a couple people. Oh, so for this it says Rodney, Lil Rod Jones.
Oh, New York.
Producer.
That's right. It is in New York.
Wait,
that is correct.
Does that mean that the opening up of the statute of limitations for the Trump suit is the same thing that's allowing this court case to go through then?
No. You got to look at what he's suing them for. This all happened recently. The Trump thing happened in '96. Just so we're clear, this happened in 2022, 21.
Well, some of the things where I think it tracks all the way back to like 2010 or something.
All the allegations are recent?
Yeah. It just happened. He was working on an album that he dropped like last year or something. It's not from 1996.
Oh, okay. I thought the way you were talking, I thought these were earlier allegations.
No. This all just happened.
No, the Cassie lady. That's what it was. The Cassie, his personal assistant / girlfriend. That was the one that kind of stretched back further than the current one.
Happened, and he obtained a ton of proof because of it.
Gotcha. Have you reached out to this guy to try to have a conversation with him or anything?
No. I would hope that would be... I would imagine. I mean, I don't know if he would be able to while you're in court. I'm sure his lawyer would say don't speak until things are done. And my guess is that because of the powerful names that are listed in this lawsuit, they're going to want to just settle it and be done with it. But the photos that are pictured there, it's going to be very hard, I think, to come back from it without some sort of an explanation. I mean, he named names.
Well, I think the problem, my imagination would be, the problem is that even if the photos show sexual acts or whatever, the difficult part is going to be proving that these were part of a conspiracy to blackmail or something like that, right? Because just photos of people having sex or doing whatever stuff isn't probably enough unless you've got like text messages showing some pattern of...
Yeah, you have to have corroboration. You have to have proof that this isn't consensual, etc.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I guess what you're saying is that people could then say, okay, well, they're all having sex, but they're doing it willingly. But what he's alleging is that Diddy's team gets these people drunk and high and drugged and then brings in women that they know are minors. This is one part of his allegations. And then these people have sex with them, or they have gay relations, and like everyone's doing it. And then they do something that's like gay while they're high. And then he owns them because he has this stuff that's on cameras. Now explaining, yeah, could you technically, even after it's all...
Yeah, because these people might not want to testify. They might not want to admit to it. They might be too afraid of Diddy. They saw what happened to Jamie Foxx. They saw Jamie Foxx showed up to that party without a 3-liter orange soda and some Ruffles. And now he's dead and has been replaced by a clone. Check out our YouTube page for more information.
Exposed, say like, oh, well, maybe they all did it willingly. Sure, you could always...
Sure. Well, I mean, the burden would be on him to prove at least...
which is why I really want this to go through, because there's just been a lot of artists who have said this over the years, that there's like some sort of gang that's operating in Hollywood. And I would just like to see these allegations play out, you know? And I think everyone should want that, by the way.
I mean, this case, the thing that makes this case feel credible is because these accusations have been out there for 15 years, at least as far as I'm aware. I mean, I've heard about this years and years and years ago. It's like, it's weird because it's like not new information, but it is. Hopefully something happens. Hopefully something comes of it. No pun intended. Hey, calm down.
What do you think on a broad level?
Diddy.
Yeah. Okay, so you keep calling me contrarian. On a broad level, the reason why I tend to fight back against the overarching narratives is because I feel like they leave listeners feeling very powerless. So
the overarching narratives. Well, what do you do, Destiny? Destiny's just a narrative breaker. He's not serving any narratives himself. Not at all. Of course not.
So when I talk to my audience, I want people to vote. I want people to be politically active. I want people to, take an interest in their local city council stuff, their local races, because I think that people getting involved politically, especially voting, is a really important way to change the landscape of our country on a local level.
Yeah, and he goes to other states that he's not a resident of and gets people to stump for whatever Democratic candidate is running for whatever office. It's not quite a carpetbagger, but in a way, spiritually he is.
Or on a national level.
I agree.
I also think that people talking to their friends and family and spreading ideas and messages, I think these things are important as well. But I think that the reason why I push back sometimes against the broader, when I say narrative, by the way, I don't necessarily mean that it's like conspiracy theory or whatever, but the reason why I push back against like the more broader narrativizing of things happening culturally is because I feel like it leaves listeners feeling very disempowered. I remember when I was in Austin and I asked Alex Jones on stage after he'd done another one of his big rants about the deep state and blah, blah, blah. I think I asked him, I was like, well, what do you want your listeners to do? And it was the first time I ever heard him be quiet for more than 5 seconds because he had no answer. So I'm curious for you, when you talk about this overall.
He probably wants them to do the same thing that you want people to do. Be informed. Get activated, go out and vote, go be part of your local governments, etc., your school boards, all of these types of things. But Destiny would not like that because he's got his own narratives to push.
Overarching stuff, and you want to bring people's attention to it. What is like a Candace Owens listener supposed to take from that, and what are they supposed to do in the real world, I guess, to like fight against some of the stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people what they can do. Like one of the biggest pushes is telling parents that they should be involved in their kids' education, and you saw that. That was conservatives who brought forth that movement of parents actually showing up and demanding changes in the textbooks, and finally recognizing how far things had gone because we allowed the Department of Education to just spike the ball for decades. You know, actually paying attention to what they do. I always tell people to get involved in local elections because they matter more. And I think that a lot of the corruption that's taking place in Washington, D.C. is what we're speaking about, because it seems like no matter who we elect, when we send them to Washington, D.C., it's almost like their allegiance is to the lobbies. And by the way, I believe that lobbying should be illegal. I believe that we need term limits. These are the things that would, I think, affect change overnight. And so I hope that in speaking to those things, when people say, what would be the first things that you would do if you were in office? I always say, elect people that are saying those exact same things. Don't elect people that are then going to go to DC and make it their own business, you know, and want to grow the government because it's making them money and they're accepting money from lobbyists.
Yeah, don't be Dan Crenshaw. Don't vote for people like Dan Crenshaw.
That's why I always point to my favorite congressman, Thomas Massey, because I think he does a really good job of actually representing Americans and American interests. So, yeah, I'm not a person, I haven't taken the black pill as how it's termed, taking the black pill, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. But we have to understand what it is that we're fighting, and we can't be scared to recognize a conspiracy. You know, a lot of times we're just talking, there's questions that we have, and we just say, why is this person doing this? Like I said, the Diddy.
And then people like Destiny exist to gatekeep and tell you to shut up and to fuck up the conversation. And so you never get to express yourself or figure out what you actually believe, because he's there to make you feel like an idiot and then give you an answer. Here is your new worldview.
The lawsuit didn't make me feel hopeless. It actually made me go, oh, okay, if this is what's actually happening in Hollywood, then it makes sense, you know?
What do you think for, when you look at black community stuff specifically, what would you think are the big, like, 2 or 3 things that the black community in the United States needs to do to kind of save itself from the whole of, you know, fatherless children and welfare consumption and abortion and everything else that they're kind of stuck in right now?
Well, the first thing I think is to educate yourself about where it's all coming from. I think black Americans need to be educated on black history, not in the Democrat textbook way, but in the real way of understanding where all these initiatives came from, because a lot of times black Americans are asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously destroyed the black family. And it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give black Americans any measure of freedom, until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act to restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education. And I think that people that are nefarious understand that, which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding black America.
When we say by design, who would want that?
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes,
like who would want that? Yeah, guys, it just happens just by magic.
Slaves weren't allowed to learn how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality. If I
can understand that, but slaves like worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah,
I feel like,
so do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent overseas.
But they have to like be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well. No?
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power from you. Right?
Do you think those people are voting much? The black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes, black people do vote, and it's not just...
Hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say black people, because I don't think that all black people are like this. I'm saying that like specifically the ones that are illiterate.
No, all black people are not like that, but they all, for some reason, love WAP.
Involved in gang violence and are unemployed. Do you think that they're like out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the political landscape of the United States? Are they having like a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah, so even if people are fully illiterate, they will vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like, black people rioting and looting in the streets.
It's not just black people. It's all low information voters. People have become incredibly low information. And they get you on these kind of social issues that they think you're going to care about a lot. And that's how they get you out to vote. They don't get you out to vote for anything serious. None of these people are like worried about the economy. We were trying to like lower the voting age, allow undocumented citizens, undocumented aliens, whatever you want to call them, to vote. Hey, they're going to join the military soon. That's going to be their pathway to citizenship. I'm sure it's going to work out really well for us.
Because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting to me because it feels like the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send black people into like the colleges and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting. Like,
when you say Americans are getting dumber, what do you mean?
What I mean, talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And like SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. This sort of a thing that
which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people...
Okay, so this is from... Where is this from? Trying to make sure this is an okay source here. I'm going to be a little Wikipedia Steve right now. So it says right here, cross river therapy? Really? Is that the first thing that's going to come up on Google? Anyways, we'll read it anyways. Nationwide, on average, 79% of U.S. adults are literate in 2022. 21% of adults in the U.S. are illiterate in 2022. 54% of adults have a literacy below 6th grade level. 54%, half the country. 21% of Americans 18 and older are illiterate in 2022. So that shows that it's trending upwards.
So people think they're educated.
Well, upwards in the sense that more people are becoming illiterate.
When actually they're just brainwashed bots and they're quite stupid. They are stupid. And that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that.
Because it's not really the education that makes you literate or capable or a credible person or an authority. It's actually the experience you get after the education. But it is a little bit inverted, especially in a world like Destiny lives in, where he mostly talks to 25-year-old college students.
How every decade within America, people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry. Like, unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view, it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, we can say that, but the reality is...
Well, because what happened was they made a federal standard that lowered the bar for everybody. Just lowered everything down. So some people, even the people that have potential to exceed that, don't always get an opportunity to. because that's not how the curriculums are developed.
Is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that
U.S.
wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that like if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, saying that they can't read well is kind of is not the right way to put it. It's like, can they consume things critically? Can they think from themselves? Can they break something down? Can they dissect it? Or do they just read something from an assumed authority and just repeat it? That would be the difference. That's really what we're talking about when we're talking about literacy rates. Now he's going to get into some fucking dumb semantic debate about whether or not people can read good. It's like, what kind of level of conversation is this? Crunk, what's up, Crunk? He says, Ebbening Dunkers.
They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see like?
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy to.
True.
What do you mean it's not true?
Just what I said. As an owner of a college degree, median wage comparing to that person is like.
Just because you own you can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated or highly literate.
Like more than half of degrees awarded for STEM related things. Number one. Number two, $100,000 is way over the average for paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just.
What did you go to school for?
The average.
$100,000 is way over the average. It probably is over the average, but probably not by that much. I mean, it depends. I think they're going to get into this a little bit. I think this is kind of where the conversation floats to about being how much school costs. Crunk says school is about indoctrination, not critical thought. Give the man a cookie. This is correct.
And you, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up, but if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount
just look it up. You got Google, right? What state are we in?
Isn't the
what
median,
state are we in? Miami? Let's go to look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at, this is for
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Okay, so they looked up that place specifically, but the median, this is from bestcolleges.com, says that's roughly $146,000 over the course of 4 years. As of 2020 to 2021, the average net price or total cost after financial aid for a year of college ranged from $12,300 to $27,740 at 4-year schools. Yes, this is accurate. And this is basically puts you about what Candace was saying. I mean, even at the lower end, what you're looking at like 60,000 in debt, unless you go to a community college like I did, and you pay way less.
Yep. So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I
Number
just said.
two, hold on. This is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aids. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very, 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 very few people actually pay.
I'm right, but you're trying to make me wrong.
Well,
so
I paid that price. Right. No, what I'm saying is
that price. So I paid back my loan. So you're not going to convince me that.
So yeah, I think he's going to talk about FAFSA and Pell Grants and et cetera, et cetera. That's like a few grand. I mean, I'm sure it helps. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't help. Even in my circumstances, going to a community college, which I think was about, like, if I had to pay out of pocket, it would have been like $5,000 a semester. So about 10 grand a year. I end up paying out of pocket about $1,000 through FAFSA and Pell Grants at a community college, which is very different than going to a state school or a bigger 4-year college.
very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So you're just saying like, and yes, granted my school was more expensive. It was, I think, $35,000. There you go. The average, $29,000.
In fact, the reason why I haven't finished college yet is because I have to go to a 4-year school to do so. And the cost is way more, even with all like assistance, etc. I'm still going to be paying close to 10 grand out of pocket. And that's in state.
If we look at
just
the
say
average,
you were right, Candace.
So 51%.
You're not going to get hurt.
So 51% of bachelor's degree students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt, right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you? I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
are you trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that, one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a 4-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating.
It comes out with meaningless degrees. They come out. They spend tons of money to get things involving like kind of sociology. The soft science of sociology, and they hardly ever use their degrees for their work, for their jobs. Go to a Target. I guarantee you, you're gonna bump into a few people that have bachelor degrees that are stocking shelves. Crunk the Madman says 2 years of community college taught me it's not for the doers of the world.
The median price.
Sure, but number one, you're going for out of state. If I'm in state, my tuition is $6,400. I'm getting
literally said out of state. I actually said out of state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
I don't get where you're going. The point of when we started this conversation, I was just saying that there are.
Listen, poor people should really start aiming their sights a little lower. Okay, going to good prestigious schools, that's for rich people. That's for people that can afford it. You want to go there and you want to take out student loans? Sorry, pal. It's not a thing.
Individuals that are going to school that are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
In gender studies.
Yeah, but we're talking about, I'm sure, and I could probably find people with $1 million student loan debt. They got it.
See, she's confused because she's like, well, why are we talking about this? Like, I brought this up offhandedly, not thinking that saying that the median price or what out of state tuition is a lot of money, and you're setting up a generation to go out into the world already saddled with tens of thousands of dollars of debt. Ultimately, for no reason. And she just thought like, well, that I'm just going to say that because that seems obvious. And Steve's like, no, no, this is what we're talking about now.
An even dumber degree than gender studies and basketball or whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums onto the people that earn them. These are
no, they don't. And that is the reason why you have so many young women that are, and this is why, I think that what you actually do here is harmful, and I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, let me finish my thing.
Dude, she's about to fucking roast them. I'm not a big fan of Candace Owens. I'm not, but I gotta say, I do appreciate that she will just call a spade, and she even in person, she will get into it with him, and I appreciate that. Not many people do that.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But when you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages compared to people that even have some college education, all of it is me going to school. All of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find.
So everybody should be super happy to pay their own fucking student loans because it was totally worth it. And we should stop asking the government to relieve everybody's student loans and take that burden onto the taxpayers. I mean, if everybody's doing so well, everybody's making so much money that went through college, then why is this even a conversation? Are we suggesting that they're being dishonest? Maybe they just don't want to pay it back?
Data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people are going to school for basket weaving.
Do not listen.
That's not what she said. She didn't say that high school people with high school degrees are out-earning everybody with a college degree. That's not what she's saying. She's saying there's more parity there than you would think, and that people often do not use their degrees after they get out of college. It's fucking very simple, very easy to understand. Going to a trade school for some people might be a worthy alternative.
Why would you go to trade school?
Learn a real craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Why would you go to trade school? I don't know, Steve. Like, I don't know. When something goes wrong in your fucking high-rise apartment, like, who do you call, Steve?
Trade school, please do not end up, and I talk about this on stage the whole time, and I'm on the universities. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society already having debts that you need to pay off to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to take.
Why would a 4-year degree
because you're
make
listening
$25,000 a
to
year?
Destiny. Like, and by the way, I am. Thank you for saying she's.
Well, you got to assume, you're assuming that there are jobs to be had for these degrees, and oftentimes there are not.
Right, Destiny. I am so right. Please go to trade school and don't listen to this, and listen to me, because I bought into this rhetoric because I was in high school, and it's gonna be great. You're gonna go and you're gonna take a blah blah blah, and then when you get
everybody was sold this shit that you need to go to college immediately. You need to sign up for all these student loans. I got into good colleges. I could have went to a good college right out of high school. They were pushing me so fucking hard. Sign that dotted line. What do you care? You're gonna be out of school in 4 years. You're gonna be rolling in it, dude. Crunk says you call that a $250,000 a year plumber. Exactly. That's 2 cookies. The man is correct.
In the real world, it's going to be great. You're going to have better positions. You're going to make more money. It is a lie.
What did you go to school for?
I don't care what website he is looking on, like to tell you that is a lie. The
website he's looking at is called I'mRight.com.
overwhelming majority of people, and I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right, because the overwhelming amount of people are.
Even his chat disagrees with him because they all know. All of these people know Destiny has no fucking clue what it's like to be a regular person, and that's okay. That's fine. That was his path in life. He's done a lot of work to get where he's at. You know, he's not. You could say a lot of things about Destiny, but he isn't a slouch, and he's not lazy. The dude grinds, and he's earned his shit. But that is not what most people experience. I don't know why he argues with, like, I don't even understand why they're talking about this.
Are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face, and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that's going to be so great and you're going to be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And I really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school, because I just thought that was
disrespecting anybody that goes to trade school. What are you talking about?
It's just like
why are we virtue signaling on this? You shouldn't go to trade school, because if you go to college, you make more.
You shouldn't go to trade school because if you go to college, you'll make more money. Yeah, everybody that goes to college makes more money than people that went through trade school. It's such a, like, this is what she was talking about earlier when she's like, are you just like a contrarian? Do you just disagree with whatever somebody is saying? Even Destiny, I don't even believe Destiny believes this. I don't think he fucking thinks this at all. Crunk says, realfacts.com, supported by the Clinton Foundation, Pfizer, and the Judeo-Ukrainian Coalition of Love and Peace. All references available at louderwithcreditor.com.
Or money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
That's not true. You can, quite literally, you can be the person that goes to trade school and you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer programmers don't bring value to the society. Mechanical engineers don't bring value to society.
Listen, if you know that's what you want to do and you go into that, then of course, do it. She didn't say not to do that. She says if you don't know what you want out of life, there are other options. There are alternatives. You don't have to be locked into this one way of approaching what you're going to do with the rest of your life as a teenager. Oftentimes making decisions, I know it's crazy, making these kinds of decisions at 18 or 19 years old doesn't always work out. It's a fucking wild. Crunk says rhetoric. Exactly.
Want to be a mechanical engineer, yes, but if you know what you want to do and you know you want to be a chemical engineer, I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They are putting themselves in debt for things that they don't even know what they want to do, and they get out into the real world and they can't make any money, and it is a struggle, and they are suffering. I'm watching these girls. I know that people on the right like to mock these girls who are crying on TikTok, who are saying, like, you know, I got out of college and here's how no money that I can make. I didn't know this. I actually feel bad for those girls because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been inflated.
You look at like black community stuff, isn't in the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors?
I don't know that.
Okay. Okay. Final question.
I think, by the way, women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men.
Yes, this is very true. Because school has been kind of geared towards the feminine. It's like an overcorrection.
But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about what you do. Because I did see that.
Oh, dude, this is so good.
That you did, you did a video and you were like taking the side of hoes. Like you saw this Candace.
Did she say selfish bitch? I must have misheard.
It's a selfish should mention not marry her. That's
Holy. Oh, I'm gonna get triggered. I feel like I might lose my mind this episode. I agree that these people can be cringe sometimes, but you're saying she's a narcissistic that men shouldn't marry? You're taking that.
So she's talking to people that, definitely naive and stupid, young girls. She's like, I think she's my age. She's like 35. She's talking to young girls that brag about, sleeping with as many men as humanly possible, etc. And they often give it back. These are often very contentious conversations. And for him to be like suddenly like pearl clutching, like, you said a nasty word to the OnlyFans girls. I mean, come on, dude. Crunk says, I took my daughter to the local anime fest. Don't judge me. Hey, I won't judge you. I'm going to do the same thing probably with my son. Going to go to Dragon Con. And this one girl in a costume had a picture on her back. It had a QR code and a GoFundMe URL to help pay off that $30,000 degree. Exactly.
So far.
It's a partnership. It's a bond. It's forever. But there's no difference between dating and marriage.
There is a difference. You just ignored it because you've got a dialogue tree and a narrative you want to push, and you're not going to engage with anything she's saying. She gave you a perfectly legitimate answer. It is a more permanent form of relationship. It's solidified by law. It's not something you just walk away from or break up from. It's a commitment, ideally for lifetime. She gave you a good answer. You just don't like to hear it because it was a good one, and you wouldn't expect a random OnlyFans girl to give you one. And now you're surprised that a bunch of girls that you thought were just going to be titty bimbos are actually giving you a run for your money.
You're still talking.
The Great White Knight Destiny. Crunk says it didn't say what the degree was. Well, I suppose that would be the determining factor. But like, hey, I will scan your code and give you $5. But what did you get a degree in?
Okay. Some insecurity coming out of it. The women today are very low value. I'm
not bashing. Hold on. I'm not bashing. The women are low value, that they're going to have worse relationships and lives, and they're going to be unhappy. But I'm not bashing them.
Absolutely fascinating to see how someone's mind can be.
No, I mean, in Destiny's world, he can't conceive of a scenario where somebody like one of these girls or several of these girls like allow themselves to be run through. They have public OnlyFans pages where they're basically, porn stars, etc. How that might be unpalatable to a lot of people. A lot of men that may want to date them in the future. Like, right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. It's not like an invalid concern. It's not an invalid thing to bring up. And I assume Candace Owens in that situation on that podcast is probably there trying to give them some tough love, for lack of a better way to put it. Listen, it's all cringe. They're all cringe. But that's what I would suspect is her motives. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she just wanted to go there and dunk on the big titty bimbos. I don't know. But it doesn't really seem like that's her bag. I could be wrong.
So warped, in the same way that I think it's fascinating.
It's fat, bro.
I've been respectful in listening to, your lifestyle.
No, you're not respectful. I'm actually
sitting down with hoes on the whatever podcast, and
you were being so rude to that lady that made the TikTok. Oh my God.
Okay. But the point is that you then went through.
You called her a bitch.
You then went through this video and just tried to justify these lifestyles, right?
I don't think I was trying to justify the lifestyle. What I was doing was I was fighting it back against the insane judgment from one side to the other. We live in America. People should be able to live the lifestyles they want, as long as they're not harming others.
Listen, you can live whatever lifestyle you want. That does not mean that you are free from judgment or other people's opinions, dude. Like, that's her opinion. Just like you have tons and tons and tons of dumb fucking opinions that you spew out on the reg.
Other people, I think everybody has the right to pursue that.
And I just want to say to people that are watching this, to anybody that you follow, literally, you should take a measure and really ask yourself whether or not that person is telling you that stuff because they believe it, or whether or not that person is telling you something that ultimately it feels good because then it means that you can remove yourself from responsibility. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's fine. I can be a hoe, whatever, but is going to lead you to misery, right? And so I tell people, I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've lived through a lot. Very proud of myself where I've ended up. And I'm trying to provide people the shortcuts. And I'm trying to tell you that, yes, I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money. And you can make money very quickly. But I am also telling you that if you do that, you will, the overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception? Sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle.
I think I'd probably agree with you.
And to these young people that are listening to you doing the YOLO, if it makes you happy, don't. I'm telling you, throw this out.
So you have a similar opinion to her. You just don't like that she said somebody was a narcissistic bitch and probably a contentious moment on a podcast that is all shit shit-flinging.
It's trash.
I agree. You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young person. You should not
be aspiring to
shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young person.
Relationships.
You should go to college and get a degree instead.
Somebody that's just holding up a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. You don't need that. Mm-hmm. You're not great. You can do better, right? Your life is worth more. There are rules that work. College is every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college
for? Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean?
Like journalism stuff?
You probably don't know my backstory. So because my family was poor, I had to take out loans to go.
Candace Owens' backstory is very mysterious. It's kind of unclear. I remember Candace Owens coming onto the scene. She had some sort of, it was like a website where you could try to pair people's anonymous online IDs with the real person so that you could, I guess, shame them or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. It was a huge scandal. It's actually, Candace Owens got one of her first breaks that Candace Owens had was going on Ethan Ralph's The Kill Stream before it was really what it is now, or it had been in the past few years. This is a long time ago. This is 2015, 2016, maybe. It was before she became a Red Pill Woman or something. She went under a different name, she rebranded. A couple years. She waited a few years, rebranded, but she had enough connections where she was able to constantly get on Fox News and stuff. So her background is a little suspect. I don't know if what she's saying right now is the whole truth of her youth.
Go to school. My mom didn't even graduate high school. So
wait, why? If your family's poor, why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
What? I just told you.
If your family's
poor, why did you have to take loans out? Doesn't the government just give you all the money you need to go to the school? No. You have access to FAFSA. You have access to some Pell Grants. But generally, even if you end up in a community college like I did, you're going to have to pay for books. You're probably going to have to pay for at least one of the classes. So no, that's not true. Even in a fucking community college that costs $5,000 a semester.
It's poor. Why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
Why would I have to take out loans to go to? What do you mean? I have to take out loans my family can't afford to pay to put me through school.
Hold on. Was your family actually poor, or did you just lie?
What are you talking about?
If you go to school and your family has a low gross income, you fill out the FAFSA. And the FAFSA is going to award you a ton of federal aid, assuming that you don't actually have
a ton of federal aid. This dude has no fucking clue what he's talking about. It's based on your parents' income. It's based on, because even up to the age 25, you have to bring in your parents' tax information. And if you can't get, what do you call it? Emancipated. You have to go to a lawyer and to a court and try to get emancipated if you want to have, to file for this stuff on your own. But they, if you're under 25, they expect your parents to basically to pay for it. But they don't offer that much money. It's not. It's maybe a few $1,000s.
gross income from your parents to actually go to school. So if your parents are super poor, I don't know why you had to pay full out-of-state tuition to go to a university.
I did. Do you think? What do you mean? Did I lie?
I don't know how if your parents are poor, if they have a low gross income, how do you not qualify for the FAFSA?
Okay, well, all I can say to you is that I had to pay 35, almost. My school cost more, and by the end of it, and I'm also including because then I defaulted on my student loans and I had to pay it back. So now I had to pay back the bank for not being able to pay them on time.
Something doesn't match up here.
Okay, well, I'm telling you the truth, so I don't know what to say.
Did you fill out a FAFSA?
Yeah, well, I also didn't have parents that could help me fill it out. I was a first-generation college student. My dad...
you didn't have the same school counselor you told these people to ignore? You didn't talk to one of them and said, hey, can you help me fill out?
Like, if you're trying to shame me for not doing things right.
I'm not trying to shame you. The background doesn't make any sense. I'm not shaming anything.
I'm just like, I don't get your point here. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie about this.
My point is, you complain about...
He's like hung up on the idea that FAFSA and Pell Grants do not cover an entire semester of college. Dude lives in his own bubble.
Having $100,000 in debt, you told these people not to talk to counselors, and you said that your family was poor, so you went to school for journalism on an out-of-state tuition. You didn't fill out a FAFSA for any student aid. There's a ton of money there.
I'm just saying, like, what is your point in saying, am I lying about it? Like,
because I don't understand how you came from a poor family and didn't fill out a FAFSA and get a ton of student aid.
I did fill out FAFSA.
And they didn't...
His chat is losing it.
Give you anything?
I maybe got, in terms of I remember getting a Pell Grant that was like $8,000.
Okay. Per
year?
I'm
telling the truth. So I just want to be clear. I'm telling the truth about my life. Like, I don't know what to say to you. And I don't get what was your question of saying, like, why did you take out a loan if you were poor? I don't understand that question. Like, I don't get it.
Because the implication is that if you filled out a FAFSA, your parents' gross income is used to heavily determine the amount of student aid that you qualify for. And if you're coming from an incredibly poor family, you usually get a ton of student aid.
Well, that's not what happened. Maybe that's circumstance. And please, guys, jump in the chat. Like, if somebody said, Destiny, that's stupid. I don't think they just give you free college if you're poor. That's not my experience. Did you go to university? Did you get free money?
I did, and I got some free money, but I had to get married for it because my parents had a high gross income but a lot of debt, so I didn't qualify for the FAFSA. So I had to get married at 19.
I paid back my student loans all by myself. So I could tell you that I spent over 6 figures paying back my student loans to attend the University of Rhode Island. And that is the truth. I mean, and no, I am not lying. My family does not have any money.
Okay.
My parents don't own anything. We don't even have a house. Like, we don't even own, obviously, I don't mean like we're homeless. I meant like, as in like my family does.
Destiny described the circumstances in which he had to get married to have access to these things. And he can't fathom that maybe Candace could have had a similar problem or a situation. I mean, he doesn't even offer it. He didn't even offer that as a possible explanation. Be like, hey, just to clarify, is this the kind of situation you were in? But no.
Didn't even own property. So it's like, no, I'm not lying about that. So I don't know what rabbit we were chasing there.
Isn't the issue here then, why would you go? Also, I understand if you have to leave at any time, because he said you had a hard out at 3 and we're at 3:06. So
yeah.
I don't understand why you would go to an out-of-state school for a journalism degree and then turn around and blame colleges for being...
Yeah, it's almost like 19-year-old kids make dumb decisions, and sometimes it's based off of the advice of student counselors. You think about that, Destiny? How do you think she got into University of Rhode Island? Who do you think helped her with that? Probably her student counselor.
Bad when it feels like...
I'm not blaming colleges for being bad. I am telling people the truth so that they can avoid making some of the mistakes.
Which is, don't go to an out-of-state school for a degree that might not confer a high amount of money?
I probably should have. Yes, I'm sorry that I was 17 years old and I didn't have parents that were able to provide the economic advice.
But I mean, this is not that weird. Even parents that aren't dirt poor, even people that aren't dirt poor like Candace's poor parents, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They have no idea. They just go there, their kid brings them, okay, will you sign this? What is it? Well, it's my student loans. Because there was a time period, and I guess because she's my age, like it was a very common thing. It was a very common thing. Kids, like, because I graduated 2004. It was very common to have kids going to these kind of big, extravagant colleges, kind of just winging it, saying like, well, I'll figure it out later. And a lot of parents went along with that. I think that's a huge mistake, but it is what happens.
Advising, of course, that would have been smarter. And my sister, 2 of my sisters went in-state, but they still had really heavy loans. So I don't know about this FAFSA magic thing that you think happens. Then my sister paid about $20,000 a year. when she went in state. So I just don't know what you're talking about at all with that, because all of my sisters, we all had to pay loans. My older sister just finished off paying her loan. So I don't know. I just don't know what you're talking about, the FAFSA magic button. Maybe if I missed the FAFSA magic button and they were going to pay for everything, then maybe I am just really stupid and I had no idea that they would just pay for everything.
I'll be honest, maybe it's like a difference in like areas or people that we talk to, maybe because the high school I went to was like very oriented and trying to get you to college. But when I was going to college, like I think FAFSA stuff was like
he went to a private Jesuit school.
Most important thing, like student aid.
But I did fill it out. I don't know if it's because my family had multiple children and we were all going to. I don't know what the circumstance is, but I'm just telling you the truth is that I paid for my college, and I do try to tell people that if you don't know what you want to do, spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure it out is probably not the right move. Like you can always go to college, you can go later. Try to figure out what you're good at. Get an internship. I hire people that are right out of high school because I don't just believe this. Like there was a young woman that now works for me who was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend, and her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for a Tennessee school.
Okay.
And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live and what I actually believe. And I don't know that you do that. Don't justify women acting like whores.
Well, I don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not.
Why not? Like, why not? Like, if you know something or if you think something is better and you see a person living a lifestyle or behaving in a way that you don't think is good or is detrimental to them, I guess you just let it pass. Hey, man, people are going to make decisions. They're going to do whatever they got to do. I bet you Destiny's a great dad.
Prescribing a lifestyle.
Of course it is. When somebody said that they would be happy not having kids, you were like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or something.
That's not what she said.
That was the TikTok clip you were responding to.
That was not what she said, and I can tell you exactly what she said.
That she was got to go on
vacations. I said there was absolutely no reason to make a comment that suggests that she was actually being insulting to people that had kids. It wasn't just one video. She makes.
This was like, there was a period of time where it was very popular, like a lot of viral videos, the child-free videos or the DINK videos. Double income, no kid videos, where people like bragging about how awesome their life was because they can smoke pot whenever they want, and they can go to concerts, and they can go to movies, and they can go to restaurants, and they don't have to worry about their kids. They don't have to worry about finding people to watch their kids, because at the end of the day, their lives are meaningless and shallow, and the only things they have to look forward to are these really, really kind of low, mundane, shitty things like, I'm so glad I don't have kids. I can go to the bar and then maybe go to Chili's. That's great. This is great reasoning. So to challenge somebody's reasoning about why they think a child-free existence is better, especially in an environment where you're there to debate, you're there to talk about these things, is just not that weird.
Multiple videos about how great life is if you don't have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just, stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
Wait, but that's literally what you guys say. Get married, have kids. That's the only way to go. Otherwise, you're a loser.
No, we do not. You're just making up words that have never come out of my mouth.
So wait, so if somebody said, if there was a young woman and she was like, I'm 20, I think I'm going to go to a career and be a whatever. I don't think I want to have a family. I don't think life's for me. You would say, okay, well, that's fine. You should make that choice.
No, I would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
so then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30? She's like, no.
Oftentimes you do change your mind as you meet people and you get more life experience. And if you're not kept in some sort of weird bubble like you are, Destiny, other things happen in people's lives that change their behaviors or what they want out of life. For women, they have a literal biological clock that starts ticking. Changes what they want out of life and who they want to date, etc. It requires a lot of, personal denial to forego those natural instincts. People don't want to have kids, don't have fucking kids. I don't think anybody really, I guess you could say people care to one degree or another because if you've had children or if you've had both experiences, like I went through my 20s with no kids, but I don't feel like I really grew up until I had a kid. Like that was the kind of my rite of passage into the world. And then I realized how much more meaning my existence just automatically had. It is something that can help a lot of people. Not everybody. There's plenty of people that shouldn't have kids, but I always, whenever people tell me that they don't want to have kids and stuff, my whole thing was just like, because this brought me so much joy, is that just be open to it. Don't make a hard decision. You don't want to have kids right now? Hey, that's fine. If you change your mind later, don't be conflicted about it.
No, I don't think I want to have kids. Would you be, okay, that's fine.
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids, then what I would say is that's pretty typical because you're 20 years old and you haven't yet had the biology thing happen to you, which like when they say that your biological clock starts ticking, it's very real. When you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if
like
a woman
it's like
is 25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want to have kids, I think I like my career, I'm going to stick with it, you'd say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person...
No, I'm surprised that the data-driven destiny is not bringing up the all of the statistics and all of the polls and all the data suggesting that women in their late 40s and early 50s are more than any other time publicly having issues with loneliness and with not having attachments and not being able to find a suitable partner, etc. Some of them even have the gumption to admit it's just like, yeah, because I didn't produce a family. I didn't do anything with myself. Now all I have is a bunch of shit. I have a career. I have a bunch of things, but my life has no inherent like meaning anymore because I achieved what I could achieve for myself. Part of what's supposed to happen when you grow up is that you have children and then you start wanting to and then you meet your goals and then you start trying to kind of live for them, provide them with a good life, provide them with the foundation that's going to help them be successful in the future, have a better life than you had. Like having kids to me is very iterative. You should be a better parent than your parents, etc. You got to have enough self-awareness and the wherewithal to kind of understand the failures and the successes and then augment it appropriately.
And isn't trying to, and by the way, I think that person would probably be, it would be unusual. Like it wouldn't be the majority of women, I think, do want to have families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, oh, well, you know, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day. This is actually something that like Seth Rogen just said.
Okay.
What you're doing
Sounds
there is
awesome.
you're actually trying to, you're 30, how old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do
I do?
Like if you were 20
well, let's
and
say
you were
I'm a
saying this
millionaire,
stuff.
I travel the world, I get to research and talk about whatever I want, I get to talk to cool people like you and other people, I live in Miami in a high rise for $5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean, what do you...
Yeah, pretty okay. You know, all of these things he listed off, he left one thing out. He has a almost 13-year-old son that he uses as a talking point, and he did earlier in this conversation, but that doesn't factor into his life. You know, this completely online existence that he has, it doesn't really matter. He could live in the same state as his kid. He chooses not to. He's chosen not to for a very long time because he thinks, I guess, like maybe flying there a couple times a year and talking over Discord is enough. It's good enough for him.
But I'm saying, like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that, you know, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying...
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
Because
you're a 35-year-old man, right?
Like, you know, and
you're kind of doing the, like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words...
Yeah, it's, like, weird when you talk to somebody who has, like, convictions about things, beliefs, like, things that they're right.
should matter and they should have weight. Like
I
said,
agree.
if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, you know, say things with conviction. Say things that have
plenty
meaning.
Of things with conviction, yes.
You know, and
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl.
Okay.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old, like when
by constantly mounting arguments about why it's cool and okay to be in an open marriage, why it's cool and okay to be in your early 20s, and you know you got to go get it, girl. You got to get that bag. You got to make that money. Stick a dildo up your ass for 10 people. Yeah. Yeah, you could say like, I don't think that's very healthy. I don't think that's very good. He never would. He'll never get in a room with them and actually say that.
I'm on the whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay? And
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well,
do you think I'm telling people to be a hoe?
What I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did. You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they, essentially, you can do something better. You don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So I don't understand. I don't know what your takeaway from the video was, or if there are researchers that give you like talking points to my videos. But
I mean, does he is aware that he has a body of work people can observe. Like, come on, dude.
Generally, what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are like shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all of these like weird things, and that's like coming from an unhealthy external place, to say, oh, well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up like hyper liberal and you fuck like 20 guys by the time you're 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody and you've got like weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to like explore honestly, to have like conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind
he's like, explore with me.
of figure out like what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are shaming people for being promiscuous and saying that, well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything? Is what you're saying.
Is that what you got from that?
Well, you're not committing to anything.
I believe in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that every human being roughly exists in this like...
Does he believe that people don't seek guidance or advice or don't watch like, podcasts and stuff and take things away from them that could change their opinions about like their lives, behavior, etc.? Does he think that everybody is just in a vacuum and we should just leave everybody alone? Like, let's listen, they got to experience these things. They got to explore. Like, unfortunately, he mentions therapists, priests, counselors, etc. Unfortunately, people go to like Destiny for those kinds of thoughts, that kind of information. They go to people like Candace for those kinds of thoughts, for that kind of information. And while I may agree with Candace more on this topic, I don't always agree with her.
Paradigm where if you fuck 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before and you're 30, probably not healthy. And that you should probably like try to gravitate towards what are like human norms. And then
this is what he does. He presents these extremes on either end. And then he's just like, well, and then you'll just figure out something in the middle is probably healthy. It's like, well, you can just say that one is preferable to the other or one has more intrinsic value than the other. Like, you can make a judgment for yourself, especially if you're like a 35-year-old person. Like, shouldn't you have some thoughts about what you think are right or wrong, or what do you think is like best for people? Now, are you going to have like a ton of influence and be able to push that on people most of the time? No, you're not. But they should at least be in your brain.
and what are things that make you happy, depending on your culture, depending on your geography, and then you kind of like explore in there, and don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Bonnell tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just like kind of explore.
I don't tell people
things.
that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, you know, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just
do you think that heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am, quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, 20 men per night. Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? What if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. She doesn't.
Oh my God. I guess Candace is getting at is that, like, if anybody engages in that kind of hedonism, it might be not a good thing. Might not be healthy. It might be indicative of other problems going on with you. Might be indicative of like a low self-worth, etc. Doesn't even occur to him. Or that you could just be addicted to sex. It could be in an unhealthy way. Might not be good for you. Might be destructive to your life, to your relationships. It's going to create a lot of unhappiness. Holy shit. It's like, it's not that crazy. It's just like, it's not that deep of stuff.
No, what do you mean? She's telling you, she was very honest actually. And that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her, it is just about money. Okay. But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as when you see somebody who says that, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. Like, it's like, no, you actually structure, you need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this.
And she kind of brought up a good point. Like, he perpetually has the kind of thought processes of a 22-year-old at a party. I mean, I remember being a kid, right? I saw people doing a lot of stupid, crazy shit. I didn't say anything because I was more in this mode of thinking, because I was 22 years old. And I was like, well, that's just their thing. Doesn't really have anything to do with me. Now, as a 35-year-old person, maybe if I saw somebody being completely self-destructive and hurting themselves, even if by using through abusing alcohol or recreational drugs or whatever, I feel like I might actually say something now. Not in a dick way. I probably wouldn't go confront them or whatever, but I might ask them how they're doing. I might inquire a little bit, try to spark up a conversation, see what the fuck is going on with this person. But not Destiny. That's just their life. That's just their lifestyle, and those are the choices they've made, and that's just the way it is.
There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy, and it's easy money. But there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just lying to people.
Do you think I'm telling women on average that fucking 20 guys
when
tonight
you
is a
make
good idea?
videos and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person? Yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said, if you were 20, I'd be fine with it. But when
First of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you fine with it.
Because
you'd have the same influence in your audience regardless.
Because he doesn't live an adult life, Candace. That's why. He lives in the perpetual 25-year-old. She kind of got him right. Kind of dead to rights, saying you're like a fucking dorm kid. That's the way you behave. That's the way you think about things. You have not mentally matured. Destiny is not a stupid person. A lot of the people that do this kind of shit, that do online debating and all that kind of stuff, are not always the brightest people in the world, even when they seem like they are. I think a good example of this is actually somebody that Destiny helped create, like Hassan Piker or Vosh. Let's use Vosh. Vosh is the better example because Vosh sounds like he's very smart. He's got a good vocabulary. Kind of fools a lot of people. And he's good at rhetoric. He's good at breaking down something that a stupid person says. But Destiny just he has more to him than that. He is actually much smarter than that. And this it's not really a new thing. It's just now it's becoming old hat. And I think people are kind of starting to see the weaknesses in the way he presents arguments and the way he talks about things. Because not to say that Candace Owens is the sharpest tool in the shed or anything like that, but she at the very least, kind of can see him for what he is and what he's doing. And I give her credit. I give her props for being aggressive and calling it out. Because she kind of realized early on that there's not really a point in having a conversation with him. It's not going to be productive. He's constantly going to be adversarial, contrarian. He's going to argue every little fucking point until you're not talking about anything, which is what leads them to be in this conversation.
Brain's not developed when you're 20.
Number two, so what? Your brain's always developing as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20...
No, she said it's the prefrontal cortex, which is the big part, the part of your brain that allows for rational reasoning is not fully developed till you're 25. But I think other parts of your brain are still growing a little bit in the next few years. So I think she might actually be wrong about this. I don't know if they talk about this or not.
20-year-old and they have a bunch of positions, I don't hold them to it. I think
don't think that's with brain development. I think that's with life experience. I think as you grow older,
but like literally factually, I don't know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25, 24.
If you really want to Google it factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25. And the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look it up later if you want. The 25, 26 thing is a misnomer. It's not actually true.
Well, like I said, if you were 20, sure. I would accept, but there is such a thing as objective truth, and people that shirk and pretend that there's not, and like objective everybody can just do whatever they want. Live your life? It's about things that are harmful to people. Like objectively speaking.
So I'm curious, wait, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
When you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being? Well, if you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not gonna say to a person, this is a number that you should sleep with, and this makes you bad.
Don't accuse me of believing in nothing. I'm not saying out of position where you only attack the most extreme
talking about
people.
The whatever podcast.
He knows exactly what she's getting at, and he's like, now he wants to hold her to a number so that he can further have a semantic argument about it. Like, it's so fucking stupid. It's okay to have like a general worldview. Like, yeah, being a hoe is probably not a great thing. You see a lot of happy hoes in their 40s.
I'm going to
maybe if Destiny hung out with somebody older than 22, hang out with a girl that's not a 23-year-old fucking e-thought, dude. Somebody from your audience that you skis on.
Attack the same people that you do. If some woman is on saying like, oh, you can fuck 20 guys a night and do only because you're 18, I'm gonna say in general that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to start.
But what are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill?
She should have just flipped it on him and be like, well, what's your number? I'm not sure. What's your number? What do you think is an acceptable amount of people to fuck in, say, a 6-month period?
You as a 35-year-old man see me sitting down with these young women trying to say, you don't need to do this. You don't have to do this for money. And you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch. Or like, whatever, like she's blah, 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 blah. She's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart, actually.
No, that is the most condescending thing a religious person can say to a non-religious person. I will pray for you.
Okay.
The most condescending thing a religious person can say to a non-religious person. I think even, I'm not a religious person, but even a non-religious person can probably appreciate the sentiment from a religious person. Like, what they're getting at. They're saying, I hope things work out for you. I hope things go better. I hope you change your mind. It's really not that complicated of a social situation.
You can deal with your, I know that you went to a Jesuit school and you got some issues with somebody.
Why do you think I have issues?
But I meant that because
I loved my high school. I think it's fine.
Because for me to say, like, I meant what I said to her, that I would pray for her. Like when she was describing
her life, she was very upfront. Why do you need to tell her that you'll pray for her?
Because I did pray for her.
Then do it privately. Why do you need to tell her that? You're only telling her that because you think you've got such a condescension about you. You've got such an air of superiority that you're going to pray for her.
Air of superiority? Because I said I would. God forbid someone says they'll pray. That's obviously an air of superiority.
Now, do people say, I'll pray for you in a cunty way? Yes. I cannot speak to if Candace said it in a cunty way. It's definitely possible. But Candace Owens has an affectation and a delivery that kind of makes everything she says a little hostile. So, even when she's being nice, she's being like a little aggressive.
Because they're saying they're going to include you in their prayers.
Well, I mean, like, when you say God forbid, but like quite literally God forbid. Isn't there a whole story of a lady going to a temple and quietly putting like 2 per cents or whatever the fuck in the tray?
Anti-Christian rhetoric.
What is anti-Christian about this?
If you say I'll pray for you, it's obviously you trying to be better. It's like, no, why are you even reacting to that? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for everybody that listens and watches this show. When people say that they're going to pray for you, they actually mean it, you guys. They just mean it. There's no double entendre thing going on there. And anybody that can go back and watch that clip, you will see that I was not speaking above her. I actually genuinely responded to that girl because she was so honest and she was so forthcoming. I thought I actually wanted to do more stuff with her, and we tried to reach out with her because she wasn't trying to lie or trying to pretend like her lifestyle was for health. She was clear that it was for money, and she was like, I'm not going to lie, this is why I do this. And I genuinely prayed for her. Actually, we were not enemies that were sitting across the table. So no, it was not condescending when I said I pray for you.
Listen, guys, because it's cool just to make money in any way you possibly can. I wonder what Destiny's feeling right now in this moment. Maybe he's feeling this.
Uh-oh.
No, okay.
Mel time.
Why did I say
Mel time. It's Mel time.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
That was like a few months before she left him for some weirdo.
It was a fact. When I left, I said, I will keep you in my prayers because I have in my heart, I want to see that girl in 10 years and know that she left that field and she is able to speak to women that are still within it and think that they have to sell their bodies for money and sleep with 10 men per night. I am going to continue to pray for that young woman because we need people who transform their lives to then show people that they can transform their lives. And it's not condescending to pray for anybody ever. So
okay, I will pray for you too then. Okay.
You should.
Okay.
I hope you pray for me. I want you to include me in your prayers. I want every person watching this to include. But I feel like our society has gotten so like anti-Christian. Like, oh my God, they're trying to be against it. It's like, no, like I'll pray for you. I will literally pray for every single person that I think needs a prayer. And I felt like she needed a prayer. Like she could be there, you know?
Okay.
And you should watch it. Her and I had there was no beef between her and I.
Well, you're telling me I did watch it and I responded to it. So I remember watching and responding to you. It was going over the TikTok clip. I don't remember.
Praying is cool, you guys. Just, super dope to pray.
Yeah, telling other people.
I think that's about it. Yeah, it's at the end here. They don't say anything else. Well, that was fun and exciting. Good old Wikipedia Steve hitting it up again. It's just like, what the fuck? This is like the points of argument that he makes are just like, they just kind of like boggle your fucking mind. You're just like, what? Are you really that detached from like the average person? And the answer is yes, he is. He doesn't have the prerequisite life experience to talk to normies. He can only talk to terminally online people that want to feel validated because they believe the same things he believes. Really, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's become. That's what it's become.